Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni moli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts, in the shadow of the Great Blue Hills. We are so delighted and so very honored that you'll join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show. Tell your kids, teachers, principals, and librarians. And please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Himalaya, Ghana, Podcast Addict, Good Pod, wherever you find your podcast. Join us right now from the beautiful city of Phoenix in Arizona. Our guest is returning to the show to celebrate book number 2 in his wonderful middle grade novel series. It's called Toby Baxter, Riverhome from the Holidays. Please welcome to the show the author, Tim Wright. Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm great, Jed. Thank you. It's good to be back with you.
I'm really happy that you're back here with us, and I'm really excited to let everybody know that not only is Riverhome for the Holidays a great middle grade novel, in my opinion, but our certified great read panel agrees with me wholeheartedly, gave it 5 stars, and named it a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me.
Yeah. They really love the story. So tell everybody out there what kind of adventures and mischief Toby gets into in this book.
Yeah, so this is book 2. And book 1 started with Toby being introduced to the world of Riverhome through his closet. And on his first adventure there, he's called to be a hero and to save Riverhome. And then he's called back in book 2 during Christmas break. So all he wants to do is sled on the snow in Minneapolis, and they just had a great big snowstorm, and then he is called back to Riverhome, and this time things have changed dramatically. The place is dying. Their source of energy has been taken, and it's going to be Toby's job, along with his friends, to try to figure out how to put life back into the land. And so a lot of holiday stuff around that. Every chapter title is a song of a Christmas carol or Christmas song. So I tried to have some fun playing with different songs and keeping it's a nice Christmas story or holiday story, but certainly can be read any time of the year because it's a part of a series.
So a dying world that lost its source of energy. It sounds vaguely familiar. I can't quite put my finger on what it might be referring to.
Well, I'll let your readers figure that out. But I think that the fun of it is, trying to use imagination to create a place where these kinds of things happen. And then in Toby's case, it's really for him a showdown with his arch nemesis from book 1. And what it is that puts life back into the world. And just a little hint, since it's the holiday season, it's going to be joy, it's going to be laughter, it's going to be wonder, curiosity. And all of that is sort of woven into the book, along with some, hopefully some fun surprises.
Yeah. Well, I am certainly loving the fact that joy is bringing life back into this world. I think we need more joy in our world to kind of help us not only bring some life back into the world, but bring some light back into the world and understanding.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And, of course, the holiday seasons are good for that. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian person or Jewish or Muslim, whatever your faith is. There's something about this time of year when the darkness descends and we put lights up and we have this joy-filled music, both sacred and secular. We all feel it. It does something to us. It brings life. It brings light to us. And that's kind of what's going to happen now in book 2 as Toby confronts darkness with joy. And the way that it all happens is meant to be, humorous and playful. But as I did with book one and am doing with book two and then the books to come, what I want to share with especially our middle grade readers, is a vision for who they can be as they become adults. So in the first book, the book was built around a vision for being a hero. This one builds on that, and the vision is on being wise. And so wisdom will guide him now this time around in the story. And each letter in the word wise stands for something that helps him as he tries to solve the problem that he's facing and the challenges that he's facing.
You know, I think it's so important that we encourage our kids to dream and to have goals and to have a vision. I did an experiment. I had read a story about how kids who have a dream, have a goal, do so much better in school and are happier. And when I was reading, and I thought, well, every kid has a goal. This is silly. You're talking about everybody. But then I did a very unscientific experiment, and I had a series of, I was on tour, and I was at 2 or 3 different schools a day. And so for about a week, I, in the middle of my show, just kind of asked, hey, how many of you guys have a goal? How many a dream? Someday I'm going to grow up, I'm going to be this or that or whatever. Just raise your hand. And there were never more than 60% of the kids who raised their hands. And very often there were less than 40% of the kids raising their hands. And I was really shocked and saddened to see how many kids in this middle grade age that don't have a goal, that don't have a dream or a vision for their lives.
Yeah, well, our kids are facing challenges that the two of us didn't face so much when we were growing up. And one of those is there are upsides to social media and there's some downsides. And one of the downsides to social media is it creates a vision in our kids that tends to keep them hooked to a screen, or a vision that has to do with success and fame, just for being famous, rather than some sort of a vision of how they can contribute to society, how they can love themselves as they are, which enables them better to contribute to society. And so that's one of the great tools, say fantasy adventure, and you see this in the Harry Potter books and Percy Jackson books. I tried to be a bit more upfront with it. Is it brings kids into a different world. They live vicariously through a hero who's like them. This hero then vision of who he's going to be, and we don't really see that happening with a lot of our kids today, where they're really being challenged to think, who can you be? These are your gifts. This is what I see in you. This is who you can become. And instead, their minds sort of become numb after a while. Not all of them, but on social media. And so, again, as parents, we want to be really cognizant of what our kids are consuming. And we know, and you know this because you're in the business, that one of the ways we create a vision in our kids is through language, through words, and not words in social media, but words that come through books and conversation. And whether it's having our kids read books, read to us, or we read to them, there is a lot of research that just says that the conversations and reading together helps instill a vision and awakens the brain, and it just makes us better overall people. Mm-hmm. So the more that we can get our kids to engage with books, obviously I want to promote mine, but the more we can get kids to engage with books that have a vision for them, the better off our kids are going to be. Yeah. More books, less social media.
Imagine how powerful it would be to be co-reading Riverhome for the Holidays with your kids, and then on the way to soccer or ballet or school, you're talking about Toby's vision, and then you just gently say to your kids, "Wow, what's your vision?"
Yeah.
Do you ever think about what your vision for yourself, for your future is? And you don't even have to you can let them know that they don't have to tell you or answer to you, but just flick that switch, get that thought process going.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that I did with this book, I'm going to be 66 here this month. So my life perspective is very different than the Toby Baxter world, a 13-year-old right now. So what I did was I intentionally put in some references to my world where I grew up, so that as parents and as grandparents read the story, some of those references, hopefully the kids will find funny, but they may not fully appreciate. So mom or dad, grandma or grandpa can say, hey, let me tell you what this really means. It's almost like, remember when we grew up and we would watch cartoons, which is true today, and when you were a kid, you thought they were hilarious, and when you're an adult, you think they are really hilarious because the jokes are really for adults.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I tried to do with this book, that the kids will love it. But I've been really thrilled with the number of adults who've really been having a good time reading the book themselves. Allows them to be kids, but also there are enough references to keep adults engaged.
Yeah. Well, I think the middle grade genre is those books are they're just great.
Yeah.
And, they might not have the quote-unquote real language that a lot of books written for adults might have, and they might not have the obligatory, private eye going to bed with, the 60-year-old private eye
right.
going to bed with the 20-year-old, that I just kind of skip through. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't go there. But, the stories are great, and they're fast-paced, and they're fun. They're just so much fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice just to read a book that's easy to consume, fun to consume, and takes you to a world for a while that's different than your own. And I agree with you. Big fan of the Percy Jackson books, of the Harry Potter books. Which were written kind of for that age group. Lord of the Rings, written for, probably a little older age group. But I just love, once in a while, I'll pick up a middle school book, and man, this is great. I don't have to, I can just allow the book to work its magic on me.
Yeah.
Without having, as you say, to work through some of the stuff that you think, oh, come on, I don't need this. I don't need to read this. I don't need it in my brain.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's the magic of middle school books, is that they can speak well to adults as well.
Yeah. And the other thing I find is just that that light, and I don't mean light, less weight, but that light,
Yes.
that bright energy that these books have. There's a positivity to the books that, the grizzled detective that is miserable and lost his job, but he's still solving crimes. And these are I'm giving away the kind of books that I love to read.
Well, I'm into British mysteries myself, so I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, there's, the kind of good guy wins at the end, but there's an awful lot of dark and depressing thoughts along the way.
Yeah. And, certainly there's a place for that. I read those books, you read those books, and there's some life story to that. But we've got, when you're talking about middle school readers like you're doing, the great work you're doing, these are kids who, they do need characters who identify with the emotional ups and downs they're going through. And I'm going to deal with that a little bit more in book 3 for Toby. But at the same time, they don't need more depression put on top of their already hormonal stuff they're going through. They need, you're right, a vision, something that lifts their spirit, makes them smile, maybe makes them think, which I hope, will happen with Riverhome for the holidays, and inspire, right? Inspire. And we have so much, you started out the show kind of saying that we have so much bad news all around us. And social media, of course, is built on bad news. It's built on grievance and anger and outrage. Our kids don't need more of that. And middle school books can really come along and just clear the brain out for a while for those kids.
Yeah. In addition to sitting down and having great conversations about great books like Riverhome for the Holidays, I think it's important that we sit down and we have conversations with our kids about the social media that they are consuming. And that's a really important word. We're consuming it. We're digesting it, and it's coming into our minds, and it's maybe not giving our minds good nutrition, but it's, fueling our minds. And we don't have to be judgmental about specific things that the kids are seeing, but just helping them understand that, hey, what you're seeing on social media is different than what I'm seeing, because this giant computer is figuring out, I can get Tim to click on something because he really responds to this or that. And in almost every case, we respond to negative things. And so they're intentionally feeding us things that are going to get us worked up, get us angry, get us, fuel that anxiety. And I think if kids start to understand that, maybe they'll be less glued to their screens. Maybe they'll start to find the strength to sit down and go, I'm going to pick up a book instead of picking up Instagram today.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard because I'm not using the word clinically. I'll use it just kind of freely. It's addictive. Mm-hmm. And you want those likes, you want those emojis, and everybody else is doing it. It's the way that we communicate with our friends. So you're right. We as parents, grandparents, do have this awesome privilege to sit down with our kids and kind of talk it through. This is what it does to your brain. Research says that kids are more depressed when they're on social media. All those things are true. Kids know it. So what are some things we can do as alternatives to that? And read a book or listen to a book. It doesn't matter if you read it or listen to it. It's the same. It's good for the brain. And those things will help us produce much better kids as they grow than a lot of the social media will do. Yeah.
And better, not just in terms of better person or, any kind of judgment, better as in happier.
Yes.
And healthier and less anxious. I don't think there's any surprise that the number of kids who are feeling anxious and dealing with anxiety has grown the more social media has grown.
Right. And even as adults, we both know this. When I'm on social media, there are times when, man, I just all of a sudden, why do I feel so anxious or so angry? Right? It's because I just came across a post that was just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And the algorithm wanted me to come across that post because it wants me to respond, because I'm not going to respond necessarily to stuff that makes me feel good. I'm going to respond to the outrage.
Right.
And the whole thing is built on outrage. And so if we're not careful, we'll end up raising a whole generation of kids who are always outraged.
Yeah. Oh, we don't need that.
No. We're seeing enough of it in our politics today to tell us that's not the way we want to go.
Absolutely. So are you finding, this writing middle grade novels has come to you later in life? You shared that you're going to be turning 66 soon. Is this bringing you a lot of joy to your life?
Oh, my goodness. It is so much fun. And, once you get the first book done there, you have to use that first book to set everything up, put your world in place, get your characters. After that, and that one took me 2 years to write. Man, I'm just sitting down when I get the chance, because I'm still working full time. But when I get the chance, it just comes out. I don't really have a plan. I sort of know what word I'm going to use in each book. It was hero, it was wise. This next one is good. And then love. Toby's going to have some adventures in love in a lot of different ways. So I sort of know the word I want to work with, and then just sit down and start typing and see where the story leads me. And I'll go back and kind of read to make sure that I'm keeping on track. And wow, where did that come from? And so I'm kind of surprised even where the story takes me. So I've really been having a great time. I envision this being 7 books ultimately. And I so far I've been really pleased. Reviews from you and others, and of course online, have been very, very positive, very, very affirming. That what I hope to set out to do and had fun doing, people are having fun reading.
Well, that's really gratifying, and I am so happy for you. And I'm so happy that there are going to be more adventures of Toby Baxter. You were mentioning you've created this world, and in book one you kind of created the world and the laws of physics of that world. But you also mentioned you have to go back and make sure you're staying on track. Do you create like a roadmap, for, knowing, okay, gravity works this way in this instance, in this universe? And
No, I think one of the things I'm pretty good at is holding a bunch of things together in my brain. But every once in a while I'll go back and say, oh, wait, I can't, that's not right. That doesn't work. So I'm constantly rereading as I write. So like book 3 right now is done. I got to go back and edit it, but I'm writing book 4 and want to finish book 4 before I go back and edit book 3 so that I make sure I'm staying fairly consistent between the books. And these books I try to keep them under 200 pages. I want them to be a quick, easy read for kids so they'll sit down and want to read it. Mm-hmm. I don't want them picking up a 400-page book and groaning, and thinking, oh my goodness, I'll never get through this. But I can read 200 pages. Yep. And just, kind of fast paced. They're not overloaded with detail. I just want them to enjoy the story. A lot of humor. I play around with grammar, for these, just, to poke fun at grammar a little bit, which is difficult for all of us. Like, why do words start with the letter E or H if it's silent? What's the point of that? Mm-hmm. And, to have some fun with that. So, I try to keep it all in my brain, and I'm sure a very careful reader is going to find at some point where I broke the laws of my own world. But, it's a magic realm, so you can always break the laws.
And it's your world, so,
it's my world. We'll just say, well, it was magic.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I wish Toby Baxter was around when my son was just starting to read, 5, 6 years old, because he wanted me to read him Harry Potter. And when I opened up that book and I saw 800 pages, I'm like, oh, yeah. No, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
we
watch
did it.
The movie.
Well, this is before the movie, so but we
Yeah.
got through book 1, and then when book 2 came out, he decided that he could do it on his own, and I was like, good for you. Let's talk about it.
Good on him. There were kids who were reading. I mean, that was a reading phenomena.
Yes, absolutely.
Good on her and all those folks behind that book. Yeah. Those books.
Well, let's hope that folks fall in love with Toby Baxter the same way they fell in love with Harry. One way to help them fall in love is to tell us all where we can go to find out more about Toby Baxter, Riverhome for the Holidays, and find out more about you.
Sure. If they go to Tim Wright Books, TIMWRIGHT, timwrightbooks.com, they'll find links for both the books. There's also a couple links to some free ebooks for both of the books, and I'll do this with all 7. I've written a little prelude. So I give a little background or prequel, a little background to each book. I did that with book 1. I've done it with book 2. I've got it for book 3. So it fills in some blanks that I don't fill in the main book. And those are free. And there's just a link right there. You download those. You can have them. And if you've never read the books, try out the prequels. See if you like the writing. And then you can pick up the books. So they're on Amazon. But if they go to timwrightbooks.com, they'll get links to all that stuff.
And we can also, when we get to timwright.com, also ask, why is there that pesky silent W at the beginning of your name?
We sure could. Yeah. So it's timwrightbooks.com, timwrightbooks.com, and the W is silent, but it's important.
Yes, very important. We've had a great time speaking to the author of Toby Baxter, Riverhome for the Holidays, Book 2, and the exciting series written by our guest, Tim Wright. Hey, Tim, thanks so much for being back with us.
Thank you so much. I look forward to being with you again when the next one comes out.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast, and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. We are so grateful that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. We'd love for you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading with Your Kids on Instagram, at Jedley Magic on Twitter. If you are on LinkedIn, please connect with Jed Doherty. We also have a Reading with Your Kids page on LinkedIn. We would love for you to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Authors, click on the Authors Click Here button to find out how you can be a guest here in the show and find out how we can help you celebrate your book with the world. And also, parents, please be sure to visit readingwithyourkids.com to download our free online magazine. Hey, we want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to start by thanking our amazing guest. I also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Chris Doherty, Ann O'Leary, Soji Franklin. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.